Welcome to the Best Known Church Show, where we show you how to 10x your reach with church marketing that will help you increase your impact, make more disciples, and become the cornerstone of your community again. This is for the leaders with an outrageous vision, because anything less would be an inaccurate reflection of our Creator. The ones who have unreasonable faith, because you know God works unreasonable miracles. And the ones who are relentless in the pursuit of your calling, because anything less would not make a good and faithful servant. If that's you, you're in the right place. Now, please welcome your host and guide on this journey to become the best known organization in your community, Justin Nava.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show, where we're going to help you become the best known organization in your community, because if they do not know of you, they cannot go to you. And today we're talking about the haters. How do you take advantage of the haters? You put yourself out there, you make a Facebook profile and you get a negative review. You try a Facebook ad and you get heat in the comments. You get people disagreeing, arguing, complaining, trolling even. We're going to talk about what all those different differentiators are and how you should respond to every type of hateful comment. Because believe it or not, there are only 3 types of hateful comments you can get. And I'm going to show you how to respond to each different kind, and not only respond to them to like lower the temperature, but how to actually respond to hateful comments that shares the gospel, shares the truth, and actually evangelizes the other people that are going to see this thread. And if we haven't met, my name is Justin Nava. You're listening to the Best Known Church Show. This is where we're going to show you how to make your church the best known organization in your community. I don't want you to be the best known church. I want you to be the best known organization. Too many churches are the best kept secret in town. It's time to uncover the cloth or the basket or whatever is covering up your church, and not just let your light shine to the city, but hey, go out and get their attention and say, we're here. We're here to serve. We're here to praise. We're here to worship. We're here to take you through life, to guide you through life, to help you find the purpose, the passion, discover the meaning of why you were created and put here on this planet. And again, if they don't know you, they cannot go to you, because when people think of who's going to help me figure out my purpose, who's going to help me through this tough situation, who's going to help support me and my family in this, they're going to go to who they know first. And who do they know first? The people that's already grabbing their attention. And if they can't think of anyone, they're going to go to their friends and family, which, by the way, in 2022 is far less than ever before in human history. So sometimes people will skip step 2. They'll go and ask their friends and family. And who are their friends and family going to recommend? Oh, I heard this on the radio. Oh, I saw an ad for this. Oh, I tried this before. But if they don't go to their friends and family, or if their friends and family don't know anyone, then they're going to go to Google. And they're going to type, and the question is your church there? Is your church there in their mind? Is it on the lips of their friends and family? And is it findable or discoverable on the internet? And the internet is playing an important role every year. It gets more important. And so we're talking about what to do with the haters, because when you make more efforts to be more present in the community, you will get hate. You will get trolls. You will get negative, snarky, disrespectful comments, complaints, objections from people, and that is a good thing. In fact, whenever I get hateful comments from my church, and I know my pastor will say the same thing, it fires us up. Lets us know that we're doing the right thing. There's 2 times in history that I can think of specifically that I had completely different reactions to receiving hate and disgust. And when I say hate, let's define that. I'm talking about not just like I disagree or that's not right. I'm talking like you are doing evil work. This is bad. You are bad. You're a bad person. This is worthless. This is wrong. You're lying. Those are hateful comments, not, hey, thanks for sharing, but that's not for me. Bro, that's not a hateful comment. So that's what we talk about in hateful comments. Now, 2 times in my life, I had 2 completely different reactions. One was when I was selling Clear Internet. You remember that Clear WiMAX Internet, Clear 4G? It was the first 4G. They got bought out by Sprint and then eventually dissolved. It was a little dongle, a little USB stick you stick in your computer and you had internet anywhere. It was basically taking like your cell signal, putting it on your computer. This was years ago. I mean, over a decade ago. And I was, I didn't know anything about selling this crap. I mean, I was just like trying to make some money. Well, I got a lead, and I called him and I said, hey, I'm with Clear. We're helping you to get your internet wherever you are, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, well, that sounds pretty interesting. Let me do some research and call you back. Dude never called me back. I called him back the next day, and he said, oh, you're disgusting. I read some of your business practices. I read what you're charging people, and I found all this stuff online, and you're just a disgusting person. I can't believe that you would work for a company like this, and I can't believe a company would treat people like this. You have the worst customer service. And I'm just like, hey, did you do any research? And he just tore into me. And I remember I hung up that call, and I immediately went to go play a video game. This was like right out of college, or right at the end of college. And I went to play a video game because I was like, I feel horrible. I feel like this is the wrong thing for me. And I didn't stay in that sales business for long because I didn't really believe in it. I was just trying to make some money. I had shallow intentions that led to a shallow reaction when someone pressed me on it. And not only that, expressed disgust. But at the same time, when I share Jesus with someone, and it could look at different ways. I'm not saying this is the only way to share Jesus, but when I'm like, hey, by the way, can I pray with you? Because this is really difficult, and I think maybe this is the purpose that Jesus put on your life, and hey, let's just talk together. And he was like, what a waste of air. Jesus don't care about me. All the things that I've gotten in my life were because of what I did, and you're just brainwashed, and don't waste your breath. Don't even pray for me when I leave. Don't waste your time. It's stupid. You're stupid. And I was taken aback. But when he left, I was like, dude, how sad for him. How unfortunate for him. Not only does he need prayer, he needs a lot of it, and he needs a lot of discipleship. I need to be a good role model and a good, good disciple, but I need to be a good Christian and like really love on this guy. And fun story, by the way. Actually, I'll tell you what happened to him at the end. I'm going to put a note here. I'm going to tell you what happened to him in the end, because I used that to spur on our next steps in our relationship together. And this was someone that I knew from work. All right, so I'm going to put this in here to hit at the end of the show. But let me tell you, that was not the end. So when he was like, oh, this is disgusting. You're brainwashed. Don't bother. Any thoughts of Jesus is a wasteful thought, right? On par with murder, whatever it was. He was not happy, and he left with disgust. And I was just like, man, I need to work harder. It ignited passion. When you fully believe in something, you get ignited. You're like, yes, let's go. Even in the spite of hate. If someone came up to me or you, pastor, and said, hey, your spouse is ugly, you're going to be like, them's fighting words, because I love my spouse. And I ain't going to let you talk like that. And when you go home, you tell your wife, by the way, you're the most beautiful thing. You tell your spouse, you're the most handsome thing, whatever it is. You're like fired up. You're like, how wrong is this person? But if you don't believe in it, if you have shallow belief, you're going to get shallow reactions. Like when I was selling internet, and I was like, ugh, maybe this isn't for me. I don't like this. Let me go talk to less people, and therefore like make less money. Or as a church, if we talk to less people, we do less evangelizing, less discipleship, all that good stuff. So what I want to talk about today is how first of all, how to approach these hateful and negative comments, but also what you can do about them. That's going to take these hateful comments and negative comments and disrespectful messages, comments, reviews, ratings, whatever it is, flip it on its head and actually use it as a tool to share the truth and a tool to essentially promote your church in a good light. A lot of people will use negative comments, or will see negative comments and hide them. That is a strategy. I don't believe it's the right strategy. It's the same thing as, oh, well, this guy doesn't like Jesus, so we're not going to let him in our building. I don't agree with that. It is a strategy. I don't agree with that, and I will never tell you, oh, someone leaves a hateful comment, just hide it, delete it, block them. Use it for your advantage. So you will, as you promote your church, you will get haters. You will, as you put yourself out there, see more people react and respond to the things your church is doing. And it's usually not your charitable works, your missions, your service. It's the Jesus part. See, we know this, pastors, when we do a relational efforts or mission efforts to go spread the gospel, teach the gospel, serve people in the name of Jesus, we understand that as we serve, church work and mission work is a lot like a magnet. It will both attract people to hear the gospel, but it will also repel people who have no interest in those things. They have hardened hearts. They're not called yet. Depends on what you believe on that. See, church marketing and promoting your church and raising awareness is no different. When you put yourself out there as a church, two things are going to happen. People will be attracted to you like a magnet, or they will be repelled from you like a magnet. The difference is people are a lot more brave and courageous online than when they see you in person. And so they are going to let out a spew of hatred that they would never say in person. But it's easy to do it when you're not looking at someone eye to eye or even in the same room. And they can just type up whatever they want with virtually no consequence. I'm going to tell you that the haters are going to come and you need to embrace them and learn to live with them. There are people in your community right now that hate your church. If you're doing God's work, they will hate your church. Luke 6:22. Blessed are you when they hate you and exclude you on account of the Son of Man. I need to memorize that one better. Blessed are you when people hate you and exclude you and revile you and spurn your name as evil on account of the Son of Man. They're going to hate you in your work. And yes, when you promote your church and do things like post more on social media, be more present on Google, announce things that you're doing, not only missions work, but evangelism work as well. Run Facebook ads, open your profiles up to leave reviews. You will get some hateful reviews that are from someone who's never come to your church, never talked to you, probably doesn't even know anyone in your church, unfortunately. They're going to leave a 1-star review. And you know what? Embrace it. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to not only share the love of Christ, but to correct the errors of their ways. And the beauty of people hating you on the internet is other people can see it as well. It's kind of like when someone's talking, two people are talking, and one of them just has a crazy idea, just crazy. I can't even think of one right now. But people are passing by are like, this bro is crazy. No one's listening to him. Why are you even talking to this guy? They can see crazy. They can spot crazy. So if someone jumps in your comments and is like, Jesus is a hateful R word who was a race baiting person or whatever, and white supremacist, whatever it is, people are going to spot that and say that's crazy. Now, some people will go along with crazy. There's nothing you can do about that. But what you can do is take that and use it to your advantage, which we're going to talk about here coming up. But I want you to understand that you will get haters, and that's okay. You need to embrace them. Pastor, if you've done any community work, go serve on school boards. Go serve in the Lions Club. Maybe not so much the Freemasons, but if you go to any, what is it called? Chamber of Commerce, right? There are going to be business owners there that are like, I don't want anything to do with you, or your evil, or your high-mindedness disguised as humility, holier than thou church. I'm running my business, and you're not getting a dime from me. We understand that hate is there. It's just going to be more present online, and that's a good thing. Denzel Washington said, some people will never like you because your spirit irritates their demons. Some people will never like you because your spirit irritates their demons. Denzel Washington said that, and that is very true. Church marketing is like a magnet. It's going to attract some people, but it's also going to repel some people. And instead of doing nothing, they're going to do something and share that hate with you. And that is a good thing. So in order to know how to respond to these hateful comments, you need to know you need to be able to identify what the different comments are. So let me jump into that. You are going to get hateful comments. There's no question about that. You're going to get hateful comments, hateful messages, hateful email replies, maybe even some hateful phone calls or texts. And the worst one, I know, I'll admit it, the worst one, hateful reviews, ratings, 1 star. This church is heretical. They just want your money. 1 star. You're going to get those. You're also going to get actually reasonable objections to the gospel. That's okay too. It's kind of like when your child says ow, or your child starts crying, or, when your baby falls. You have to measure your response based on what happened. If your child just stubs his toe walking in the room, you're like, oh, you okay? Cool. Now, if your child drops a knife on that toe, you're like, don't move. I'm getting everything I can out of the medicine cabinet. You're just like throwing stuff at him, right? There is going to be a measured response. If your child's running and falls on grass, get up, son. Keep going. Now, if your child falls on concrete, hey, let's take a minute here and let's look at this. And if you're just playing and your child's like, oh no, I fell, you just laugh, right? Different scenarios require different responses. And so what you need to do is when you get hateful reactions, just like you would change your reaction or response to the situation of your child falling, you need to change your response based on what category the hateful comment falls under. And there are 3 categories. Like I said, there's objection, there is complaining or a complaint, and there is a trolling. That's the 3 things. They fall in those 3 categories. Okay. Number 1 is objection. This is actually the most legitimate comment that you can get that can be deemed as hateful. In reality, it's not hateful. It's just a disagreement. It's a disagreement for what you say. Okay? That's an objection. That might look like you post a Bible verse and someone says, oh, well, the Bible was just written by man and they threw half the books out at the Council of Nicaea anyways. Or everyone knows evolution is real and the creation story is made up. Right? I know a lot of pastors that would hide that one. That is a great opportunity to speak truth to it. We'll talk about what that looks like in a second. So an objection is a disagreement with what you say. Then there's a complaint. A complaint is a disagreement with who you are. Meaning it has nothing to do with what you're saying. It has more to do with who you are. This is more of, this church doesn't really preach the gospel. I went to, you post a Bible verse. I went to your church and no one said hi to me. This church only wants money. That's kind of an objection and a complaint. See, an objection is a disagreement with what you say. That you can address head on and you want to do it in public, meaning reply to that comment because you want to show people why this is incorrect thinking or the incorrect worldview, or maybe even if you weren't clear, clarify. And you want everyone to see that because, again, you want people to say, that person's crazy. This church is onto something. Whereas if you just hide it, no one's going to care. No one's talking about this. Pass. Today's world, we live in such polarity, it's expected now to see disagreement. You can post a tweet right now. Free hamburgers on Sunday. Why not tacos, you racist? It's going to happen. So you got objection, you got complaints. The third type of hateful comment, reply, whatever it's going to be. The third type is a troll. And a troll is just trying to stir chaos, right? If you imagine the Joker making Facebook comments on your church's profile or Instagram or YouTube channel, yeah, that's a troll, okay? A troll's goal is to do nothing but cause chaos, to tear you down, and there is no reasoning with this person. There are some great churches that do really well. If someone protests at their church or near their church, they will show love to these people and hey, we respect your right to protest. You were created to be able to protest, to speak freely, to have free will. And you know what? We disagree. That's fine. We can talk about those disagreements. It's hot. You want some water? Great. Awesome. Good for those churches. If someone comes with a Molotov cocktail, you're not going to offer that dude some water. You're going to call the police and get everyone to safety, right? That's kind of the difference between an objection and complaint and a troll, okay? It's similar to church complaints. My ministry got a whole lot better on my mindset and my mentality, and honestly for my family, when I realized the difference between complaints and objections. And when I stopped handling complaints as objections, I got a whole lot happier in ministry. Not that happiness is the goal, I know, but hey, it's nice to be happy at the same time too. Where someone could say, hey, you know what? The lights are too low. Okay. That's a complaint, right? An objection would be, hey, me and everyone, I can't read my Bible when I'm trying to read the scripture, follow along with pastor. That's a big deal. The font's a little too small. It's hard to see from the back. That's an objection. Because it's something that I know is hindering someone's worship or hindering someone's spiritual journey, right? Whatever it is. Hey, the Sunday service, we can't make it to Sunday service because we're working. That's an objection. Sunday service is so early. That's a complaint. We can recognize objections which require action and complaints which are just, okay, I hear you. Same thing is true online. There are actual objections to what we're saying, and then there's actual complaints to who we are, and then there's trolling, right? If someone came to you and said, hey, the lights are too bright, I'm going to bring a spotlight and shine it in. That's a troll, right? No one would ever do that, but online, when there's no consequences to just saying whatever you want, then yeah, they'll troll you. So that's what it is, and I want to share with you now what you should do in response, because your response is going to depend on what kind of comment, message, email, whatever it is, what kind of reaction that they have. Our response is a measured response against their reaction, whether it's a complaint, objection, or a troll. So when you get a hateful comment, online, messages, email reply, even a phone call, you need to be able to measure what it is: objection, complaint, or troll. And you have to come back with something. It's kind of like when your spouse says, do you think that whatever, fill in the blank. Do you think that I dress sloppy? Do you think that I'm just lazy? Do you think I'm a bad cook? Do you think I'm a bad spouse? You need to respond. And if you take too long to respond, you're in even more trouble no matter what you say, right? It's kind of like that. Responding to hateful comments, if you don't respond, it makes you look guilty and it makes the comment seem true. And if you hide it, you're really losing the opportunity to speak truth to an objection, to build a relationship through a complaint. So you should say something. Unless it's a troll, we'll talk about that in a second. But you should say something, and you should say something ideally within 24 hours, okay? We understand social media, all the different kind of avenues we have of communication. Most of them, besides the phone call and sometimes text, are asynchronous, meaning they don't take place at the same time. So if someone leaves a hateful comment, it's okay if you don't reply to it at 3 a.m. is what I'm saying, okay? And you don't have to respond right away either. Like if you are on your computer and you see a Facebook notification, you click on it, it's a hateful comment that was left 5 minutes ago, you don't have 60 seconds to reply. You can take a step back, measure what kind of comment it was, and then develop your reply and kind of run through, make sure this sounds okay. So how do we respond to the different types of comments? Number one kind of comment you have is an objection. Okay. This is again, a disagreement with what you say. So this is something against what you believe or how you do things. It has to do with almost the theology, doxology, or methodology of how we do church. And the best thing to do that is to speak truth to it in an understandable way. You're not writing a thesis. You're not writing a doctorate. You're not writing a blog. That's for other pastors. You're speaking to someone who is so incredibly lost and needs some truth. And so the best way to handle an objection, again, something that's a disagreement with what you say. Young Earth creationism is a crock. Or gap theory is false and wrong. Small groups is heretical. Large churches are heretical. The Bible said nothing about abortion. Jesus said nothing about that. You're misinterpreting what homosexuality is, right? All of these are objections because they're disagreeing with what you're saying, with your teaching or what you're believing. And so you need to speak truth to it. And believe it or not, the Bible and verses are not always the best answer, right? Sometimes the worst thing you can do is try to eisegese your way out of this. And I think we try to be exegetical in everything that we do, but when we pull verses out to make a point against a hater, we're almost doing the same thing that they try to do. And they try to misuse verses out of context to prove their point. So if you even use a verse in context, they're going to think that you're just trying to do whatever you can to make the Bible say what you think it's going to say. Using a Bible verse in this scenario is not always recommended. It's not always going to bring your point across. What you have to do is not come down to their level, but just above it, and say, hey, we hear you, we understand, and there is a lot of information out there about evolution, about abortion, about when life starts, about where God came from, whatever it is they're disagreeing with you about. You can also use something like I feel, I felt, I found, or I feel, I found, I felt. Right? That's the whole thing. Feel, found, felt. I think that's what it was. Hey, we used to feel the same way. I used to think the same way. After I dug into archaeological records that didn't explain X, Y, Z, however the Bible did, I found that the Bible makes more sense in this way. And if you want to talk about it more, we'll be happy to jump on a call. Or we're talking about it more on Sunday. You can watch something here. Or we talked about this last week. If you want to go deeper, there's the video for you. And again, these replies are not so much for the person that's hating. It's for everybody else that is seeing the hateful comment. They're going to see your reply and see how you handle that situation. So when they have an objection, speak truth to it. Church is just out for your money. Hey, I agree with you, man. There is a lot of churches out there that aren't doing what they should be doing. We believe that we are on the right track to share the gospel despite however much money we have or don't have. In fact, if our church closes its doors, we're just going to do church in our home. I don't know if I'd say that, but that's just something like, hey, I hear you. There's a lot of people taking advantage of others out there in the name of God. What we believe is that you were created for something new. We believe that you were created for something bigger, and the forces that are holding you down can't hold you down forever. There's some messaging that you need to do in there, and it needs to come back to your core message, which we help you with. But speak truth to it. Then there's the complaint. This is when you do a Bible verse and someone says, I used to go to your church, but with the new pastor, I just couldn't really feel like I was being fed. Now I don't go to church anymore. Or your people are so unwelcoming. I went to church and no one shook my hand. Or I sent you an email. How come you haven't responded to it? Trying to hide something, right? Complaints are disagreements with who you are. To handle a complaint, again, publicly, comment back, speaking truth to anything that's wrong, and then offer to invite them to a one-on-one conversation while also reaching out to them in a one-on-one capacity. A lot of people in my space will say, well, hide it and reach out to them one-on-one. I think that's good. I think we need to be great. And again, use that as an opportunity to show the error of their ways and speak truth to it in a way that everyone can see. Okay? If my buddy tells me, hey, your church is fine, but man, the pastor's boring, right? I wouldn't say, shh, hey, let's talk about that at home. Bro, that makes me look culpable. That's like, I agree with you. No. Be like, hey, I hear you. Sometimes it can be a snore. That'll get people's attention. The truth of it is, right, if someone were to say, hey, this pastor's so boring. Hey, thanks for checking us out. And thanks for the feedback. Pastor Tim here. I agree. I am too boring sometimes. Do me a favor and let's talk about maybe what's missing, or don't give up the search. There's a pastor out there that preaches in a way that's going to speak to you. God bless. And then you can reach out one-to-one. Hey, appreciate your comment. You could have just left it and gone about your day, but you let us know and we're going to do something with it. How can we pray for you? I don't know, something like that. If there is a complaint, move it into a one-on-one conversation, but use that opportunity to show the world or show your community that you're going to do something about it. Again, if you do nothing, people are like, man, that must be true, or they don't care. And if you just hide it, well, you lose that opportunity to show that you care. So objections, you need to speak truth to it. And this is a platform. Someone is placing down a soapbox for you to preach the gospel. Don't kick it under and say, we're not going to talk about that. This is not the time or place. Dude, step on the soapbox. Start preaching in a way that's understandable. And then if they do a complaint, acknowledge the complaint, and then offer and take the initiative to move that conversation one-on-one. What you'll find is that about 4 out of 5 of those never go anywhere because it's a complaint. They're just in a negative, hissy fit mood, and your Facebook post or your Instagram post or your YouTube video just happen to show up on their feed or your ad. But if I say, hey, you know what? You could have just scrolled this, but instead you spoke something here. That means something to us. Can we talk about that more and see if we can find a solution here? See if we can make this right? That's my favorite phrase to use when they say something like, I went to this church, they just wanted my money. Hey, I'd love to know more about your first visit because that is not the intention. That is not our heart. And I want to do everything I can to make this right and make sure that whatever your experience was, no one else experiences that. We want to make this right. Check your messages. That shows me that your church cares. It's not, you're wrong. It's, whoa. That's not our intention. What did we do wrong? Let's work on this. Let's fix this. We want to improve. We want to be better. Our message is that important. And then there's the trolls. The trolls are easy. Hide and block. Now, if you're looking at something like, well, this could be an objection, but it could also be a troll, like Jesus was an R-wordist. Like, is this guy just trying to troll me and cause chaos, or does he actually think that? Usually you can click on their profile and you can see whether or not this is like a real person, right? You can see their comment history, what they're posting. And if they're just posting a lot of militant atheist stuff, it's probably a troll. And they have very little interest in having a dialogue. Hide and block. Or actually, I just like to hide. If it becomes a problem, then you block. But if you check their profile and you're like, hey, this is someone that lives in our town. They go to this school. Their kid goes to this school. I can see it on their Facebook profile, their Instagram profile, because people don't know how to keep their family lives not public. Anyways, if this is an actual neighbor, then I would respond to it as an objection. I've never heard that before, but people will say it, try to cause them. And then if they continue trolling, like, oh, sounds like someone's an R word too. Okay, well, hide and block. They obviously don't have any interest in having a conversation. That's the ways to handle hateful comments. And when you start looking at comments like this, you'll start to realize they're not actually hateful. They might be hateful upon first sight or first hearing of it. But once you sit down, you're like, is this person actually objecting to something we believe or something we do? Are they actually complaining because they had a negative experience with us, or maybe a mismatched experience of expectations? Or are they just trying to troll? Once you start looking at that, you realize that most of these hateful comments are not actually hateful comments. They're just negative. Yes, disrespectful. Yes, worded improperly. But it's something that is an opportunity for you to speak truth and share the gospel, not only with them, but for everyone else that is seeing this. This is one of the things I love about Facebook ads. My church ran a Facebook ad, and my church is unique. I know, ironically, for a guy that works with churches, my church is unlike any other church I've ever seen or worked with. We don't have a building. We meet in homes. We have a pastor. We have a leadership team. I'm church communications director. Communications director. And we equip these home groups across the country to disciple their friends and family by bringing them into the home and essentially having a church gathering in their home that's taught, led by our pastor, but facilitated by the people. We are training them up to be disciples that can then birth into new groups and new disciples. So we run Facebook ads saying, hey, if you don't have a church home, or if you can't find a church home, or if your church stopped meeting for whatever reason, or if you moved, we'd love to have you look at having your home become a hotspot, which is a host home for our church. It's very we got a video that goes with it that cites the Bible references. It's animated. It's engaging. It's a great video. The copy is very simple, and people come in and are like, church groups are not biblical. How dare you talk down to the church? We never talked anything about the local church. We just talked about our church, but people think that we're dissing the local church, which we don't. We love the church. But one thing that happened during the pandemic was we were running an ad. Hey, is your church not meeting? Feel free to have a small gathering at your house and do this until your church opens up and watch our services and facilitate discipleship. Maybe you'll learn something. And someone said, oh, this is disgusting. You're spreading the plague. You're spreading the virus. Pastor Tim comes in and says, hey, we understand the concern and we don't ask anyone to do what they're not comfortable with. If you're at a point where you're very concerned for your health, we invite you just to watch our services by yourself or with your close loved ones that are in the same household. However, if you've been inoculated, if you are wearing PPE or whatever protection, or you just feel like you're okay to meet in homes with social distancing, we invite you to it. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's only a matter of doing something. And someone said, thank you for your thought into this. I had no idea this is how you felt. So now when people see that Facebook ad, which I don't think we run anymore, when people saw that Facebook ad, they saw that comment, how dare you spread the virus? And they see our loving response, speaking truth to it. They're like, hey, this church has their head on a swivel. They actually know what they're doing. Respect. Let me see what this is about. We had another comment, right? Churches meeting in homes is not in the Bible. It's anti-biblical. To which pastor responded, actually, the first churches met in homes. And he posted like a wall of 24 verses, which I don't recommend, but he was excited. Look at all these first churches that met in homes. And they came back and was like, wow, I guess I got to do more reading. Now, those are two examples of 10 hateful comments. But those two responses people see and say, hey, this church actually has something going on. So if you don't have haters, you're not promoting enough. Again, people will hate you because they hate Jesus. And if they don't hate you, they either don't know you or, God forbid, you're just promoting yourself like a charity with a church name. And the gospel isn't present enough. When you do a good job of promoting your church and being active in raising awareness of who you are, people will hate you. That's a good thing. And if you don't have haters, you're not promoting enough. To which I say, down below this video or podcast, wherever you're listening, there is a link to a free checklist where we're going to show you the 10 most important things you can do to become better known in your community. Download the checklist and just take an audit of what you're doing and have some kind of guidelines of what you need to do next to become better aware. And now you know how to deal with the hateful comments. So that is a non-issue now. You can promote your church, and whenever a negative comment comes up, is it an objection? Speak truth to it. Is it a complaint? Address it, acknowledge it, move it to a one-on-one conversation to make it right. And is it a troll? Hide it. If it's an issue, block it. Hating is not the end. In fact, for many, hating is the beginning. I went to a conference, a business conference, and they were talking about email marketing. And so many people, emails. I don't check my emails. Email marketing's dead. I don't want to send one email a day. That's 7 emails a week. That's 30 emails a month. I'm going to annoy people. Good. In this conference, The conference leader said, how many of you guys hate my emails? 1/3 of the audience, there was a few thousand people here, 1/3 raised their hand. They hate his emails. But they spent minimum $2,000 for a ticket to that conference. Hate is just the beginning. Hate is acknowledgement that you exist. And if someone's hating you, on the flip side, that means someone knows you. And so to wrap it up, this is unplanned, so I hope I get the story right. But I had offered to pray. There was an opportunity for a friend / coworker that was going on into a new season of life. And I said, hey, I'd love to pray with you because this sounds like exactly what you were put on this earth to do. And he said, don't waste your breath. Prayer is stupid. I can't believe this. Blah, blah, blah. Turns out he didn't get the job. And we actually became gym workout buddies. We would go after work to the gym and we'd work out. He used to be a power lifter, so he knew what he was doing, and I like to think I knew what I was doing, but he helped me. That was awesome. It was a good friendship. Well, then came a time when he moved away. He was moving away. In our last workout together, I said, hey, I know you think this is stupid, but can I just pray for blessings on your travels, just safe travels and whatever's coming up next? And he said, I used to think all Christians were dumb, ignorant, conspiracy theorists, but you showed me that you guys can be okay. Sure, you can pray with me. Again, when he hated on me for my beliefs, which he didn't really hate on me. I mean, we were still buds. As good as coworkers can do. We never came over to my house or anything, but we were good co-working buddies and eventually gym buddies. As much as he hated what I had to say, it empowered me and reminded me what I'm here to do and what I can do. And the relationship didn't end there. It fueled the next steps to become an ongoing discipleship opportunity. He went from hating to, you guys are all right. Now that's not a win, quote unquote, if you look at evangelizing as winning souls, but it's forward movement, and I like that. And that's all we're looking for on social media. Oftentimes we're not looking for people to make decisions. We're looking to make forward progress, to plant seeds. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, leave a like down below. Hit the subscribe button wherever you are watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast, thebestknownchurchshow.com. You can actually go to that website, thebestknownchurchshow.com, and leave us a voicemail for the show. Give me a call, 832-861-7654. You will hear it at the end of this show. If you have any questions on promoting your church, because again, if no one's hating you, you're not promoting hard enough. Not enough people know you. It's time to do something about that. Get that checklist. Start filling in those boxes and start being the best known organization in the community. So when people know something needs to change, or if they need answers, or they need help and support, they know to go to you and not another wolf in sheep's clothing, or not a worldly entity that's just going to leave a bigger hole in their heart. God bless you guys. See you next week.
That's going to do it for today's episode of the Best Known Church Show with Justin Nava. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on the latest news, strategies, and resources that you need to reach 10x more people and become the best known in your community. To send us a message or leave a voicemail for Justin to be played on a future show, visit thebestknownchurchshow.com. And if you'd like to work with us so you can focus on your ministry, give us a call at 832-861-7654. Until next time, stay outrageous, unreasonable, and relentless.